you can get things done. The most valuable thing, though, that you get when you've got the players here that you can't get virtually is the on-field experience. And being able to teach Willie Gay coming in as a rookie how to move and how to drop and your fundamentals and techniques, the different coverages that he's got to take care of, run fit responsibilities. When you're not hands-on, it's hard to walk through those things. And so you end up retarding the first year player, second, third year player a bit by only being able to do it virtually. That ends up being a bit of an issue. The other part comes in is being able to put new things in. So without exhausting it, and again, without coaches taking advantage of situations, I think that's also important. But you're able to give the players some new thoughts that through all the scheme eval that you discuss with them. Hey, listen, let's try this, and let's just take a look at it. Let's see what it looks like. If it's no good, we can throw it out there rather than wasting time during training camp.
Coaches are not allowed to say anything that would suggest that voluntary off-season workouts are anything but voluntary. There is no prohibition, however, in the collective bargaining agreement on explaining the virtues of choosing to show up. A very carefully worded explanation from Andy Reid, saying nothing about the workouts being anything other than voluntary, but making it very clear why it makes sense for players to show up. And the Chiefs, one of the 4 teams that aren't even getting squeezed by the union to stay away because they use workout bonuses so aggressively in their contracts, the players have to be there. And we said this yesterday. I think more and more teams are going to be using these workout bonuses to avoid this issue in the future.
I would imagine so. I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits. One, of course, hey, yeah, you want your guys there to work and do like what Andy Reid said. All those things he said are very real. The other aspect, too, is, being there in the locker room, being together, it starts kind of the lifeline of the football team. It starts the culture of the football team together. You start to build and, start your own, lifeline for this. Hey, it's our 2021 team. Here's the new guys and all that, and we're together, and we're all for this main goal. That gets lost in this whole thing as well. But the on-the-field work, like we've hit on a few times, Mike, that's really the biggest thing, and especially the young football players. Yeah, I know Tyrann Mathieu knows, what to do in every coverage and the proper techniques and all that, but they're still, like Andy said, any guy under 4 years in the NFL, he's still learning, and there's lots to be, learned still, and a lot of those guys are behind the 8 ball, especially first-year guys who are going to year 2, where they never really had that base instilled in them last year. They kind of learned on the fly. And, that's, again, where I would worry about, the whole situation with the young players and the current environment we got.
There's an old saying that goes, wisdom often never shows up at all. It's better if it arrives late. This idea that it's taken the union 20-plus years to get to the point where they recognize there's muscle to be flexed in staying away or trying to get players to stay away from the offseason program. I just think that there's a disconnect between getting ready for football season and taking a stand. I think it's too late to take that stand and make it work. Because what it's ultimately going to do, it's going to create a competitive advantage this year for the teams whose players show up.
Right.
Chiefs, Packers, Jaguars, Bills, 4 teams that have heavy workout bonuses. They're going to be there. They're going to get the advantage of it. And we're going to see this year. And it's going to be a dotted line. It's not going to be a clear line. But if all 4 of those teams make the playoffs, now 3 of them we expect to anyway. If the Jaguars all of a sudden are dramatically better because their players are there and they aren't being pressured by the union to have their players stay away, then it is an apples-to-apples comparison between the teams that are all in and the teams that are either sporadic or the guys aren't showing up at all. But even the teams that are saying we're not going to be there at all, there's still going to be guys there. They're still going to be there. Dolphins players were there yesterday.
Right.
Not all of them, but they're going to be there. Guys, understand, it's in their individual interest to be there, no matter what the union may be trying to do. And it's going to be very difficult to get a huge percentage of guys to go against their own individual interests for something like this.
I think so. I mean, I would have a hard time. I know just, whether I was a starter or a backup, I wouldn't be able to stay away. I'd be too worried about what was being done, who was passing me by, who was learning new tricks and new plays, what's going on that way. That would drive me crazy. That wouldn't be any cool for a person like me. And I think there's a lot of people like that in the NFL where, it's type A, like obsessive compulsive. I like this schedule. This is what I do type personalities. Yeah, they're not going to be cool with doing stuff at home and all that. They're going to want to be there in the mix, the personal interactions, all of that type of stuff. I mean, that is real. And, Mike, I think you bring up a good point, too, about, the advantages and disadvantages. I think we'll see, teams that have great leadership or great leaders who are going to attend, these workouts and maybe have the right players all together. I think that's going to, let's just say Cam Newton, he went in yesterday, right, in New England. That's going to filter throughout their team, right? So it might not everybody been there yesterday, but now a few defensive guys who were there, they're going to tell some other defensive guys, hey, we were there, Cam was there, it was a good day, we worked. And you're going to see, and those type of scenarios where the main leaders of the football team are there, slowly but surely, I think the majority of the team, to your point, is going to start to gravitate towards there. Maybe the superstars of the team, again, that know they don't have to be there, and they know they've been around, their techniques, everything, they're secure in the roster, all that. Okay, yeah, they might not be there. But I think slowly but surely as this goes this offseason, you're going to see more and more guys start to show up because they're going to realize, what the hell else am I doing, and why am I cheating myself in the long run?
And putting yourself in position where if your coach is upset about what's going on, there will be some consequence.
Yes.
Where it can't be proven.
Right.
It can't be shown.
Right.
Can't be detected. But, hey, 90 goes down to 53, Labor Day weekend.
We want volunteers, not hostages.
That's right. And the guys who are acting like hostages are the guys who are going to be freed when the time comes to set the 53-man roster, potentially. Now, if you're good enough, you can get away with it. But that's always been the case. The superstars come and go as they please,
sure,
and nobody ever says boo.
Right.
It's when you fall into that range of, we got 2 or 3 guys all doing this same job, and they're all relatively the same from a talent standpoint. This guy's expensive.
Exactly.
This guy isn't.
Right.
That's when you got yourself a problem.
Exactly right. That's going to be those scenarios where it's like, hey, this guy, we don't have a clear-cut stud star player at this position. We got 2 or 3 guys who are pretty good. Oh, wait, these 2 guys were here and have been here and doing everything. They're going to get the advantages. They're going to get the advantage when training camp comes around and OTAs. They are. That's what's going to happen. You're right. There's going to be no way to prove it, but they're going to be thrown out there with the starters. They're going to be given an extra chance to fail if they do things like that. And if they can capitalize and take advantage of that opportunity, the job will be theirs. I have a hard time thinking. Again, I know coaches are humans, and they understand how serious it was last year and everything like that and everything about it. But still, coaches are psychos in the way of, the way they think about football, their job. I go to work. This is what I do. I expect you to do it with me. And that's the way they're wired. And I think that, back to that Mike Tomlin quote, when you act like you're, being held hostage, the coaching world doesn't love that. They want guys who love to be around football and love to play it just like they do. And I think there is something to that, and those guys are going to be in trouble who aren't around.
I think so much of this is a PR play by the union.
Seems like it.
It's a successful one to a certain extent. They've managed to have dribs and drabs of statements. They didn't do them all at once. It's, hey, this team issues a statement about offseason workouts. Then 4 hours later, this team does, and they spread it out over 5 or 6 days. We got stories covering every single one of them. Once you start, you can't stop. So they've commanded multiple news cycles with it, and they're blaming it on the pandemic. And I don't think anybody really believes it's about the pandemic, but still, from a PR standpoint, it works. And meanwhile, you got guys showing up. The guys showing up won't resonate the same way as the statement did. For every statement from a team, you get a headline. Oh, Cam Newton showed up. Oh, Drew Lock. What a shock. Drew Lock, who is worried about his career.
Right.
Drew Lock shows up. Cowboys players who had a meeting 6 days ago about this and never issued a statement and never said a word.
Right.
They're showing up.
Yeah, they know Jerry's in charge.
That part of it's not going to be publicized.
Right.
The statements are, and maybe that's the win the union was looking for, because they know they ultimately aren't going to keep these guys away. Not 100%, not even close to 100%.
No way. No way. You're right. Hey, listen, we already brought up two names, Drew Lock, Cam Newton. It's a big year for them. Of course they're there. They got to be there. You know, I can speak from my own personal experience. I got thrown into the fray as maybe being a starter going into my second year because I know I impressed Gruden with my offseason work. You know, on days when people weren't there, I was there throwing at garbage cans, doing drills outside. You know, I'd have people telling me, hey, he was in the facility watching you work through the windows. He was saying a lot of good things about you and all that type of stuff. You know, so these are the opportunities you have if you're players like Drew Lock or whatever else. You can impress your coaches. Here's another aspect I want to bring up to you, Mike, just to get your thought on this. Some of these guys, too, who decide not to show up for work and come to OTAs and do that. You know, and it's, you know, safety, COVID-19 still hasn't been, you know, under control here in the NFL facilities, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the other aspect I do, if some of these teams with these guys who are not showing up, if they start to hear that they're out at the club or they're at the beach and they're at other big gatherings with other people, you know, I just wonder the effect that's going to have on the NFLPA, the teams, some of these players and all that too. Like, the players better watch it. You better not be out in public like messing around and then claiming we don't feel safe to go to the facility. Like that's not going to be a good look for the players.
No, I agree with you. Guys out doing things without masks on, guys not getting vaccinated. And then fundamentally, what concerns do you have about the same protocols you agreed to last year during the entire season? And nobody ever complained about the protocols then, other than when there was an outbreak and some players didn't feel safe in Baltimore for justifiable reasons. The day in and day out grind of the way the protocols worked, as agreed to by the union and the league, nobody ever said, hey, you know what? I feel like I'm stepping into a petri dish every day I show up for work. No, nobody ever said anything about it because, as you said all year long last year, even though it's not a popular position, the truth is most of these guys just don't care.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you care a year later. We know you don't care.
Right.
And if you do care, show me your vaccination card.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It's that simple. There's no doubt. So we'll see where this goes. I think this is going to be kind of a secretly kind of fun thing to watch this offseason a little bit. I think we'll hear more and more rumors and things of teams being disappointed or mad, guys didn't show up and stuff like that as we go along here.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.